Happy New Year, everyone. 2022 is starting off amidst a critical phase in the pandemic. Our case rates are higher than they've ever been. We have a case rate now of over 1,800 COVID cases per 100,000 residents over the past 7 days. To put that number into perspective, that's 5 times higher than our case rate peak, which occurred during last winter's surge of cases. In fact, as you may already know, over the New Year's weekend, I tested positive for COVID, following others in my household who had tested positive the previous week. I really appreciate the many well wishes I've received, and I'm really touched by the outpouring. And I'm doing okay. Still have a sore throat a little bit and a cough, and I'm more tired than usual. The rest of my household is mostly recovered. We're all vaccinated and boosted, but as we can see around the county and around the country, that did not fully protect us from this highly contagious variant of the virus. I'm grateful that my family avoided severe symptoms and hospitalization, and for that, we do have the vaccines to thank. My situation reinforces the reality on the ground that if you're vaccinated and boosted, you're much less likely to get seriously sick and end up in a hospital. New data from the University of Maryland Medical System shows that over the last 30 days, 74% of their hospitalized COVID cases were unvaccinated patients. 24% were fully vaccinated, but this is very important, just 2% of their patients had booster shots. Even though the boosted and vaccinated are mostly staying out of hospitals, our hospitals are still strained, which is why for more than a week, I echoed the call by the head of the Maryland Hospital Association for the governor to declare a state of emergency, which he did this week, and I want to thank him for that. The governor said his decision was made to alleviate pressure on states' hospitals, which are being overwhelmed by an increase in COVID-related hospitalizations and an increase in deaths. The state hit a record high in hospitalizations this week, and projections show that it could go significantly higher, that this surge will extend into the next month. We need to slow the spread of the disease. I'm asking the governor to implement a statewide indoor masking mandate as we have here. I appreciate the county council's vote this week to maintain the mandate at least until the end of January. It would have been irresponsible to end this mandate at a time when our highest rates of spread. As the emergency declaration demonstrates, we're in a crisis and we're treating it as such. We're taking a 3-pronged approach. We're stepping up testing, we're doubling down on our efforts to get residents vaccinated and boosted, and we're mitigating community spread. Testing hit record highs last week, and we're now testing 3 times as many people as we did at the height of the Delta surge. We've also received 400,000 home-based rapid tests this week. Half of this shipment is being given to our public schools for them to distribute. The remaining kits will be used to reach hard-to-reach communities, essential workers, and the general public. We'll be using our libraries for distribution of some of these rapid test kits, but we're still working out the logistics, so I'd ask for your patience and please check our website for the latest information. We do not want folks showing up at all locations that may not have or be out of supply. We are also currently working with our state partners to establish a mass testing site in Montgomery County, and we hope to have that up and running as soon as possible. I know how tough and frustrating it's been recently to get a test. Ask for your patience and understanding as we continue to work to increase access to tests. If you have symptoms and have no access to a test, please limit your exposure to others. And for everyone, masking indoors and frequent hand washing is still important. The best way to reduce the stress on hospitals right now is to continue to get vaccinated and boosted. I can't emphasize this enough. Our county's vaccination rate is among the highest in the country, and we're still seeing just how effective it is from protecting us from severe illness and death. We're almost 20% of the state's population, and yet we had less than 5% of the statewide deaths during this last month. Boosters are where we need to do more. About 55% of our eligible population still needs to be boosted. If you're eligible, please sign up immediately for your booster. I want to just say that this is more urgent even than getting the annual flu shot. The booster really makes a significant difference in whether or not you end up in a hospital and the severity of COVID. And while it won't guarantee against a breakthrough case, it is pretty effective at eliminating the worst outcomes. And so please, if you've got your first 2 shots, come in. We've got the boosters available. There's no reason not to get it. You'll be safer, your family will be safer, and the community will be safer. So Please take advantage of this. Unlike with testing, vaccines are actually plentiful, and for more information, go to our website. Just this week, the FDA expanded the emergency use of Pfizer boosters for children ages 12 to 15, and our health team has already begun giving out those boosters. We're also taking other steps to slow the spread to help prevent our healthcare system from being overwhelmed. As part of that effort last week, I submitted legislation to the County Council to implement a vaccination passport program for restaurants, entertainment outlets, and gyms. I believe this will actually help businesses during the surge. People will feel more comfortable going to those places, and it makes sure that people who aren't vaccinated who could be carrying COVID, could be asymptomatic and still carrying it, that they won't be going into places where people are largely unmasked. I know our school system is working to slow the spread while trying to preserve as much in-person learning as possible. As a former teacher and a parent, I know how difficult this is for parents, teachers, staff, and students. For some parents, sending your child off to school at a time like this is fraught with anxieties. For others, there's great difficulty navigating the world of virtual learning with children. I see it in my email. I've got half my email coming in saying, go to virtual learning, and half of it is saying, keep the schools open. And it is a very difficult decision, and the school system's doing its best to maximize in person to the extent that it's possible, because we do not want to repeat the learning losses that occurred last year. This is going to be a bumpy time. We're trying to help the schools in their planning and communications. As we all know, this week was our first snow of the season, and it was one of the most significant snows we've had in recent years. I really want to thank our cleanup crews and contractors for MC.DOT for clearing the roads and sidewalks throughout the county. This is not an easy job, and we appreciate their hard work. I also want to remind residents to be salt-wise, protect the environment, and do not overuse salt on your walkways and driveways. I also want to thank our teams for keeping our COVID testing sites open during the snow. With the state sites closed, this effort was much appreciated by our residents, and we're in great need to get tested. I encourage all residents who want to stay up to date with the latest weather conditions, closings, and other important and breaking news and information happening in Montgomery County to sign up for our text alerts at alert.montgomerycountymd.gov. I want to make one final comment about January 6th. This is an anniversary of sorts of what happened last January 6th. It was an actual coup attempt against the government of the United States, organized, promoted by a former president. I've never seen anything like this in my life. And it's rather remarkable. You know, as someone who's been in protests, it's one thing to protest government policy. It's another thing to try to seize control of the government and overturn an election. I think it was a horrible moment for American democracy. I continue to be stunned that there are people who pretend this didn't happen and have no appreciation for what this means for democratic processes. And I'm really thankful that there's a full hearing and investigation going on. And I especially want to call out my representative, Jamie Raskin, for his outstanding leadership during this very, very difficult time. We need to own what happened. We need to be clear about what happened. We need to make sure it doesn't happen again. And we have to restore a faith in elected processes and a belief that the electoral process is the way you make change in America, not by trying to overthrow an election at the last minute. I'm, like many people in this county, deeply troubled by what happened. And hopefully this country can move forward into a more productive and more unified place. It is not a good thing to see people so torn apart by this that it's become a major flashpoint in our society. Not what one was hoping for in 2022. That said, I just want to thank you all for joining me this week, and I hope you have a great week. Take care.